All right, so this is a fully launched ad and we are pretty much good to go. Now, at this point, there's two very important steps that we need to take, okay? So yes, we launched, but it's incomplete, okay? So the two steps that we need to do is I go to settings, and this is very important, and integrations, okay, where we integrated the Facebook, right, initially, and then I'm gonna go to this Facebook form field mapping. So right now we are in integration. So again, it's settings, integrations, and then Facebook form field mapping. I can't stress enough how important this is because this is how you can see your results. Okay. If you don't do this, you won't be able to see your reporting. All right. So I'm going to hit this and then the form that I created. Now, don't worry about, because see, they ran something previously from their, it just pulls everything from their Facebook. Okay, ads manager. But this is the one that we launched, Philly real estate, blah, 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 blah. Okay, because specifically we can see this name, right? If we go back and we go to Facebook ads, we can see Philly real estate, Coldwell Banker Homes. This is the name of this campaign. So we go back to settings, we go to integrations, and we go to Facebook form field mapping, and you have to map your fields. And this is super easy. Look, we're just going to map fields. We're going to press this. And then this is in Facebook, and this is in your HighLevel. Name is going to be full name. Phone number is going to be phone number. Email is going to be email. So we're going to click save. It's no longer this green thing. We have this here. Keep this always on. Every time you launch a new ad. Now, it's not every new ad, it's every new form. So one ad has this form. So if you keep relaunching the same ad again and again and again with minor differerences, you just come here and just see that it's not a new form. Okay, chances are it's not. So you don't have to map it. It's already mapped, okay? But I want to show you an example where it's more than just name, phone number, email. So here's an example where there's another one. In the actual ad, we asked, where's your property location? Okay, where's your property location? So Facebook has this question, property location. So now we need to find it in our HighLevel, okay, and match the two. Okay, we need to match the two. So you have to, if you ask a kind of custom question, you can do that, right? You can ask custom questions. So you have to map it and find it. It would have been blank otherwise. It would have been nothing. There wouldn't have been anything here. Okay, and you have to click into it and find it. So these by default, they're good to go. 1, 2, 3. But anything else that you customize or you have a multiple choice question, you have to find it inside of HighLevel, right? And you find that these are within your, you probably created this through custom fields. For example, I created some custom fields questions. So like this one, for example, when are you ready to buy? Now, in 3 months, 6 months, not sure. So you create it in HighLevel, then you ask it in Facebook through UpHex, right? And then you just map the field in here. Okay, I know it's a little bit advanced, but for most of you are just going to do full name, phone number, email, and just go and you go update, and that is good to go. And then the final part is, now that it's mapped, okay, what is the follow-up? Okay, so we launched the campaign, we mapped the fields. What is the follow-up? And for the follow-up, we have to go to automation, right? And depending, you should have some kind of lead nurture automation for your clients. It's not just if you're doing ads. It's not just lead generation. You need lead nurture. You need to follow up. So I have, so please ignore, these are just different folders I have of different things. Yours may be blank. So you just go, you create a workflow. Okay, you create a workflow, and then you could do from scratch. There's a few recipes, but you could do from scratch and just write out, like, day 1, they get this email, the lead gets, day 2, they get this, an SMS. So for here, I'll show you, I have this folder, main nurture campaign, and I like using this SMS first. If you have this snapshot, if I provided this for you for real estate, then you can just follow along and you can do exactly this. So over here, all you have to do, there's a trigger. Okay, and then there's all of the things that happen after this trigger. So this is the drip campaign. You know, first they get a SMS greeting. Hi, John, this is the realtor. I got your list of homes. Let me send it over. Okay. Waits 9 seconds. Hey, here's the link. By the way, we have to insert the link into here for real estate. What type of home are you looking for? Blah, 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 blah. So, 5 minutes later, it's an email. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Here's your list of homes again. So this is a standard real estate follow-up that I have. And then it goes day 2. Email, hey, what kind of home are you looking for? Hey, can I help you? And it's just like value-based, more or less, standard follow-up email drip sequence with scattered through with SMS. Okay, I can recommend some financing programs depending on your situation. Do you want to talk to some lenders? So in order for this to kick in, so you want this to be automatically, they come in from the ad, they click on this, they fill this out, they go next, they submit, they come into your HighLevel, and then they get this drip to drip. So all you have to do is you have to map the fields, and then you have to add a trigger. Okay, you have to add a trigger. So the way you add a trigger is you go Facebook, you type in Facebook, and it's Facebook lead form submitted. Okay, now if you don't do anything further, it's going to be any form that gets submitted through their Facebook will go to this thing. But sometimes, so for example, I have a separate drip for buyers, for sellers. You may have, for example, one for med spa for Botox, one for some kind of massage, one for barbershop, one for nail. In the same business, they may have different follow-up drips. So if you don't want it all, you don't leave it blank. And what you do is you add a filter, and then you go in form submitted, in form, and then you just simply select this Philly real estate form that you just created. Chances are they're not going to have more than one if it's a brand new campaign. And then you go save, okay? And then what happens is, and I would probably rename it, and I would be like Philly 1, Philly form ad 1. And then what happens is anytime they come in, and then I would go save. From Facebook, they submit and end up in your HighLevel. This will trigger this form, and then they will get dripped on blah, 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 blah. And then I can add later if I launch another. The downside to this, these days I like to, because I'm only doing buyer leads, I like to keep it all, to be honest, right? I just want to set it once and that's it. Set it and forget it. Because if I launch another ad, I have to come in and add another one. Now you can stack as many as you want, right? Let's say I can do filters in the form. Let's say it's a different form, in this form. If they come from this form, they get this drip. If they come from this form, they also get this drip, right? So I could have multiple. I could have Instagram. I could have there's any source the lead comes from. I can put them to the same drip, or I can separate them, right? Depending on. So at this point, I don't need to separate them, okay? I'm just going to delete it, and I'm going to keep it all. So I'm just going to delete this filter. So Facebook form submitted, from any form, doesn't matter, okay, because I have no other filters. While we're still here, after you launched your ad, you want to come over here, make sure your trigger, like we talked about, is set up properly, right? So the trigger is Facebook form, whether it's all forms or individual forms, but it has to be the form. And then I explained to you how the process works with drip campaign, right? But I didn't show you the internal stuff. So let me show you the internal stuff. So before we get to this first SMS, that's the first thing that the customer or the lead sees, right? These are all internal steps. Okay, these are all internal steps. Internal steps are for our own CRM, for our own measurement and our own kind of lead management. So let's take a look at them one by one real quick. So first, the trigger is Facebook forms. Then the tag that gets added is the buyer lead tag. So you can tag it whatever you want. I would recommend having a tag. Even if you don't use it, just tag them all Facebook lead, for example. Well, here we have buyer, seller, etc. So I recommend having some kind of, so you can differentiate. You can have multiple tags like buyer lead, and let's say it's an appointment booked tag, so you could stack the multiple ones, but at least one tag I highly recommend to have. Next is this assign to user. If you don't have this, you need to include this. So what this does is that most of your SMS messages or email messages should have, like for example, greeting, these custom values. Right? Custom values. So high contact first, and we get them here, right? So custom values. There's contact. So contact is the lead. Okay, any the lead. And there's user. These are the most kind of popular ones. User is your client or you or the agent, whoever is the kind of we're doing this on behalf of, right? So if you want to put in contact first name, you would go here, right? Contact first name. So if the lead's name is John, it's going to put John. If it's Bob, it's going to put Bob. So it's dynamic, right? But the user is the realtor's name. Okay, the user. And very often we use it throughout. So if we don't assign the user in the beginning of this, will just be blank. It will be like, this is blank your realtor. Okay, so we want to assign, come over here and assign the user, assign to user. We're going to go with the user on this. Okay, and you can go either apply to unassigned or everything. It's up to you. If there's multiple users, okay, then it would make sense to say only apply to unassigned users, okay? And there's really cool stuff. If there's other users, you can, like, let's say round robin, so every other, so 50%, so user A gets this lead, next lead goes to user B, user A, user B, user B. So you can assign, if you have 3 users, 4 users, it depends. If you have, I have sometimes a team of 2 or 3, so I can round robin the leads. They're called round robin. But for now, we're just going to do the main one, right? So that means that if the SMS has, this is Ken, your local realtor, right? That's going to be inserted so you have to assign it. And the way, if you don't have this, you just go plus, and then you look for it, assign to user. It's this one, okay? Assign to user. And then blah, 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 blah. You select the user again, okay? Then we want to tag it. We want to assign it to user. We want to add it to a pipeline. Okay, so pipelines are a good way to track inside. So we have conversations, calendar, contacts, and opportunities. Pipelines are inside of opportunities. So this is called a pipeline, okay? These are steps in the pipeline. And the way you organize it, most likely if you have a blank, if you don't have a snapshot existing, it's going to be blank. All right. I have several. See, I have a buyer, seller, listing. It's real estate related, right? Google Ads pipeline. And these are the stages that the lead goes through. And it's like a name card. So for example, Bob Smith will be here. Bob Smith, BS. And then it will move as he progresses through the stages. You can either manually drag it or it could move dynamically, right? So the first 3 are actually dynamic, the way I have it set up. And if you want to edit it, you go to pipelines, and then I can edit the steps inside. What steps are they? New lead, responded. This is all like editable, right? Yeah, if that's even a word, editable. And then you will see how it works, right? So we want to put it in a pipeline because there's other automations we can trigger with that later. So I always say the trigger is number 1, the add is number 2, I assign to user, and then I put them in the pipeline, okay? That's how my internal. And the 5th one is sending an internal notification to the actual client that a lead came. Because to be honest with you, especially my clients, it depends how tech savvy they are. Realtors are not really down with the tech. Okay, so you can't really expect them to go into your HighLevel and then go look. Blah, blah. The best you can do is there's an app that we can talk about in a sec, and you still want to deliver that notification to them in their channels that they use. So the 2 channels they use are email and SMS. This is actually different. It's not like for this, it's an SMS or email. This you have to come in. You put the plus if you're building that. So instead of putting SMS or email, right, you put internal. It's a send internal notification, okay? And then you choose if it's email, SMS, or if it's an in-app notification. I don't really do in-app because that means they have to be on the app at all times to see it. I just do either email or SMS. And here's I send both. So as soon as the lead comes in, they go through these steps. SMS would be like this. I used to say, hey, John, your lead, there's a new lead for you. I just cut space because I want to keep this 160 characters, so I don't have to use double the space of. As soon as I add more characters, I have to pay more. Over 160, it's 2 it counts as 2. A new lead from Facebook ads, and then the lead name, email, and phone number. That's all they need, and they can just click on the phone number. Hey, we sent them an email and SMS. Call them when you get a chance. Boom. And who does this go to? The assigned user. So here's where, because it's internal notification, you can say who to all users, because if there's multiple, to an assigned user, to a custom phone number, or a particular user if there's multiple. I just say to assigned. That way, when we assigned it here, it's assigned to this person. Okay, and nobody else. Okay, and then email, same thing. Email, subject headline, new lead. Hey, you have a new lead. Here's their info. And then I just give them a little bit of background. It's going to go into your conversation. It's going to go to here. It's fine. Emails can be a little bit longer. That's totally fine. Okay. That's how this works. And then it waits 12 seconds. And then the first, now it's custom. Everything else is to the lead. The first are internal and the rest are to the lead. So I hope this makes sense. If you need to add, for example, you want to sometimes add yourself, then you can put, you don't need SMS, but maybe email, so you could put an internal one. So you can just put as many as you need to add it to build this out. But like I said, trigger, tag, assign to user, pipeline is good, and then internal notifications to the client especially, and to yourself if you need. So for example, in another account, I'm not going to open it right now, but I have one to the, it's all email based, right? One to the actual client, one to myself, one to the client's assistant, and one to another guy that does. So 4 internal emails that get shot out. And the way I do it, I just like duplicate. It's pretty easy actually. Sorry, 3, yeah. Copy action. I put it here, and then say it's a copy of the email. Then you save it, and then you can go from there. To test the workflow, you can do a test of the workflow. You need a contact, so you could use yourself as a contact, and then you could run a test, and you can see how it actually looks like. So let's do that with my email. I'm going to go ahead and run test. Okay, so that means it's going to go through all of these, not skipping the trigger because it's not from a form, it's just a test, all of these, okay? And then if I see enrollment history, okay, that's the little tab here. See, I have it here. I'm added to workflow. And then if I go back to it, all right, you could see where did I stop. Actually, I have to refresh it. Okay, so if I keep scrolling down, you could see that I'm actually here. If I click on this, you can see that Greg at 1080, I'm on this step because what happened was it waited 9 seconds. It skipped, actually, because I don't have a phone number on this. So it went straight to here, and now it's holding me at this waiting step. So whenever there's a waiting step, basically what it does is that it holds the contacts for whatever indicated, right? And then once the time frame elapses, you can keep going down the drip, right? So that's why I have 2-day waiting step. So for example, here I have, it's a 5-minute delay, right? So that's why I'm being held in there. Here I have a 4-hour, right, delay. That's why I'm being held here. Here I have a 1-day delay, right? So that's why it can be 60 days because I have a 1-day delay and then blah, blah, blah. By the way, delays are between the two. So for example, if I want to put a day, it's going to be from this one to this one. I can put 1 day. So if I want 60 days down here, I don't have to put 60, okay? Or I just have to put 2 days difference between the last one and just count it in my mind. How that's 12th day, 14th day, if that made any sense. Also, last thing, to put your attention on the time frames. Here I have this advanced window that I toggled, and then I can set, so for example, it's only going to send from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, because I don't want to bother people with, especially SMS messages, right? Ping their phone. I do let the initial ones without that. And I'll tell you why in a second. See how like the first one or the difference between them? Because if somebody became a lead at 3 a.m. and they entered their phone number at 3 a.m., I can still bother them at 3 a.m. because they just became a lead. But as time goes by, like next day after that, I want to make sure that like by day 2, that there's usually that kind of time gate. Not always, but usually. You can also go in settings. And again, I recommend for you to re-entry off, stop on response. You could do a time frame in here. Then the entire automation will be between this time and this time. Okay. Also, for sender details, put username and user email. That's for here. So for example, for every email that gets sent, let's say email 1, you can either set it here. From name, I usually put username. So that's the agent, the real estate agent. So the lead sees John Smith, realtor. emailing them. We're still emailing. I'm emailing, but on their behalf. And then from their email. So I can either set it here or I can set it globally in the settings here for everything. But I do in both places, to be honest with you. But I had issues where like it comes from blank name and it all comes down to assigning the user. Okay, assigning the user. I'm not sure why it didn't save. Let's assign, let me refresh. So sometimes that happens. And see, we have to save it here. Let's try this again. Assign user, save. And let's go save. And now when we refresh again, we should have him as the assigned to user. Perfect. So when testing, just be cognizant of if you are testing and you have internal SMS and email steps, your client will get pinged. Okay, so maybe in the beginning, what I would do is I would either take these out or maybe put a longer wait, like an hour or two. That way, if you're testing, or move them around somehow so your client doesn't get pinged. And then what you could do is if you scroll down, you click on yourself, you can remove yourself. So you don't keep getting 60 days worth of emails. You can remove yourself here, or you can go to enrollment history. And then anybody that's enrolled, which is me, you can delete them, remove contact from workflow. So there's more than one ways to do that in HighLevel. So yeah, that's the initial kind of the internal steps of the drip campaign, which you should have. Cool. So this is the drip. I'm going to go settings. I like to have it, don't allow reentry. So you just have it once and then stop on response. If somebody replies, if the lead replies, we stop this automation completely. Okay. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and hit save, and then I'm pretty much done. And then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We completely fully launched the ad. We mapped the fields. We set up the follow-up now, right? The sequence. If you don't have one, you have to build it out. The first one, it took me like a few weeks to build it out. I actually bought another template that had real estate follow-up because I had no idea what's a good real estate follow-up, right? And if we go back to now Facebook, we should be able to see his ads, Ken's ads, over here as live, status is live. We click on this now, and they're active now. Now they're active, okay? And then when I want to look at results and make decisions, so this is very important, the next steps, I'm gonna come to reporting, always reporting, and then Facebook ads, okay? Google ads, this has just some dummy data. Don't worry about it, okay? See, this has some sample data. Go to reporting, Facebook ads, and then you should be able to see once it starts getting clicks, you should be able to see these results.